everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I thought it would be fun to do a if you liked this, try this video. So I've got a list of book recommendations if you liked one thing to try another, and we'll just go through it. And also there is one TV show. I'm going to leave that to the end, so you gotta stay till the end to find out what it's going to be. And if you want me to make a whole video of like TV shows and movies, like if you like this movie, you'll like this book type of thing, let me know, because I could reach into the recesses of my brain and figure something out for that. So let's jump into the books first. First one, if you liked The Hunger Games, try 1984. Now I know that 1984 is a classic and many of you maybe don't want to read it because you were forced to read it in school or it just gives you the school vibe. However, I think that if you like The Hunger Games, you could really enjoy 1984 because it shares the same idea of propaganda and government control. Both of them have a fair amount of violence and action, but are also still thought-provoking reads that really make you dive into government, propaganda, policies, how they affect people. I also have another recommendation for this, and that is that if you like 1984 and The Hunger Games, you should read The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. Is that who it's by? It is! I was correct. So, The Memory Police is a little bit less on the action side, is a little more character focused, but basically in The Memory Police you are following the main character who is an author, and basically the Memory Police choose things every day to be removed from people's memory. So like one day it's roses and they wake up and roses are no longer a thing, and they cut down all of the roses, they take out all the plants, anything, any book, any picture, any movie, anything in your home, in your community that references roses, you have to burn. And then after they're burned, people just forget about them. And there are a few people in this society who remember all of the things that have been forgotten. And the main character's editor is one of these people, and so she harbors him in her home to try and keep him safe from the Memory Police, because the Memory Police will take you away if you remember things they don't want you to. And so again, it just leans into that idea of government control and propaganda and control over what we believe in. So I thought it was an absolutely fantastic book, and it gets a little bit weirder than The Hunger Games in 1984 does. So if you like that aspect, definitely that would be one to check out. My next recommendation is for Station 11. If you like Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, you should try How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu. Okay, let me give you a quick synopsis of both, just in case you haven't read either of them. Station 11 takes place during and after a pandemic has hit the entire world, and you are following a group of people who are a traveling theater caravan who are going across the United States trying to find, who's left and survive. I thought it was an absolutely beautiful story because it really dives into how people respond to these types of situations, and you fall in love with these characters and you really want to see what's going to happen and how they're going to succeed, and it's very thought-provoking and it's very calm in a way that you're in the day-to-day life with these people and you want to know what's going to happen. And then How High We Go in the Dark also follows a pandemic. It follows a virus that has been released when the Arctic caps have melted. And every chapter, basically, is kind of like a short story that's following a different character who is affected by the virus in some way. This book made me cry. I absolutely love it. It's amazing how well you can connect to these characters in such a short amount of time. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think Sequoia Nagamatsu does a fantastic job with his character work. And so that's something I really, really loved about this book. And then to just throw in a little extra recommendation, if you read both of those and you're like, I need more, try Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. It is, once again, another pandemic book, but mostly focuses on people's reactions and the way people interact with each other. This one also has some cool multiple timelines. There's a timeline that's on the moon, there's one on the Earth, various time traveling aspects, and it is pretty cool. My next set of recommendations is if you liked The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman, then you should try The Appeal by Janice Hallett. So if you don't know, the Thursday Murder Club follows a group of retirees who live in this kind of retirement community, and they have a Thursday Murder Club where they try and solve old cold cases, and then a body shows up right there in their community and they have to solve that mystery as well. The reason that I want to link this to The Appeal by Janice Hallett is because they share a lot of, well, okay, they're both very British. That's kind of the first thing that popped into my mind. But the second aspect of it is that while there is a murder involved, there's also a lot of money things involved. Fraud, that kind of thing. And so that really ties you in. What I absolutely love about The Appeal, so basically The Appeal is following a story of a theater group, and the main people who run the theater group, their granddaughter has been diagnosed with a rare brain cancer, and they are trying to raise a bunch of money for her. And what I absolutely love about this book is that it's told entirely in emails and text messages and notes and messages left on answering machines. And basically, like, the beginning of the story is these two lawyers texting back and forth, and their boss is like, hey, I need you to figure out this set of questions and through reading all these transcripts and come to a conclusion. And so that's basically what you're doing, is like you're reading it like they are. I really think this is a cool way to do a murder mystery. I love mixed media things. So actually, if you have any mixed media recommendations for me, let me know, because I really love a good mixed media book. I think it's such a fun way to tell a story. And it's interesting because there's a few perspectives that are left out. And so you're like, oh, why aren't we getting that person's perspective? And you're like, okay, well, is my perspective of this person skewed because I'm only getting one side of it, or, you know, that kind of thing. I absolutely ate it up. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So if you like that kind of murder mystery without it being like super gory or anything, and you're really diving into like, okay, how does everything work? I think both of these recommendations would be fabulous for you. My next one is also a classic, and that is if you liked And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, you should try The Decagon House Murders by Yokitu Ayatsuji. This book is actually kind of a retelling of And Then There Were None, so I mean, like, is that too close of a connection for me to tell you in this? I don't know. Maybe you haven't heard of The Decagon House Murders, though. I hadn't until I heard about it on the Books Unbound podcast. Listen to their podcast. It's absolutely fantastic. I get a lot of recommendations from them. But I thought it sounded really fun because it is a Japanese told retelling of And Then There Were None. Like, it literally mentions And Then There Were None in the book, which I think is super fun. But basically, you're following a group of students who go to this island where some murders have taken place, and they have kind of like this literary murder club where they like read all of the old classic murder mysteries together. And so they're just gonna go to this island to, like, I don't know, be pretentious and have this club or whatever. So you get that perspective where people are slowly getting killed off one by one. And then you're also getting a perspective from the mainland, which I thought was really cool and kind of sets it apart as a retelling where it's not like a play for play retelling, but gives it a little extra spice, if you will. And not spice as in sexual content, spice as in like the spice of life. It gives you a little extra zhuzh, a little more than the original story. That's what I mean. Anyway, I thought it was a fabulous retelling. I've been reading more Japanese translated fiction, and I really enjoy it. I think there's some like really cool aspects about it, and it's always fun to dive into something that's different than what you're used to. So maybe check that one out. If you liked The Sound of a Wild Snail Eating by Elizabeth Tova Bailey, then you should try Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. So both of these books, the reason that I'm connecting them is because they're both following disease and kind of personal stories. But the similarities kind of in there, to be completely honest. So The Sound of a Wild Snail Eating is about a woman who was bedridden after catching some like random disease that they didn't even know what it was while traveling around in Europe. And it basically dysregulated her autonomic nervous system. Gave her a form of dysautonomia, which is what I have. So I connected to this book a lot for that reason, because I like literally have dysautonomia. Basically, as she's bedridden, one of her friends brings a snail in from outside and is like, look, I brought you the snail. And she's like, why? And he's like, I don't know, you thought you might like it. And so she ends up learning about snails and wanting to take care of the snail, and it's kind of about how the snail gives her something to hope for and a reason to keep going. Like, I have to keep going because I gotta take care of my snail. And then she, you know, is able to get through the worst part of this disease. And it's just kind of her story of that. And then also like really cool stuff about snails. So I really love that book. And then Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green follows kind of a history of tuberculosis, as well as where tuberculosis is now in the world. I found this book really, really fascinating because I did not realize how prevalent tuberculosis is in other countries. In the Western world, as in like the United States and Canada, tuberculosis is extremely rare because it's very treatable and preventable. But in other countries where the resources aren't available, a lot of people are still suffering from tuberculosis. And so this book kind of dives into that, as well as giving you the story of a young man named Henry who lived in Sierra Leone and his experience with tuberculosis and being treated, and John Green met him, and then that's kind of what sparked his interest in learning more about tuberculosis, as well as becoming an advocate for tuberculosis care. I found this really, really fascinating and also very educational. I learned a lot about not just like the history of tuberculosis, but also like what can we do now to support people who have tuberculosis. So I think it's an absolutely fantastic book, and it's a great thing to educate yourself on if you're curious about that. Okay, my last one is the TV show. Did you stay till now to find out what it is? What's your guess? It's Severance. I love Severance, you guys. I mean, I think pretty much everyone who watched Severance absolutely loved it. If you didn't, you're weird, I guess. I don't know. Severance is the story of, basically there's a company called Lumen, and they have this program where you can be severed, which means your work self and your personal self are severed in your brain. So when you're at work, you don't remember anything about your personal life, and when you are out of work, you don't know anything about what you're doing for work. And it gets very dark and very twisted and very strange from there. My husband and I absolutely devoured it. We love it. Listen, I've said it once and I'll say it again. We're hosts for Ben Stiller. Like, Ben Stiller is amazing as an actor and a director. Both of us love The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and to go from like all the amazing comedies that he's done, right? And then The Secret Life of Walter Mitty was kind of like also out of left field. Everyone was like, oh, whoa, Ben, that was amazing. And then you pull out Severance? Fantastic. I'm not the first person to say this, but fantastic. So yeah, so we were like, we're gonna watch that immediately. And then of course it stars Adam Scott, who I love from Parks and Rec. I think he's a fantastic actor, and he did such a phenomenal job in this show. His acting is just so good. It's so good. He shows so much emotion. Anyway, all the actors in that show are absolutely phenomenal. So if you liked Severance, you should try Several People Are Typing by Calvin Kasulki. Now, this does not have the same dark tone as Severance, so keep that in mind. It is a little bit more lighthearted. If you have any recommendations for me of ones that are similar to Severance in the darkness and weirdness of it, let me know. But this one is similar in the sense that this story follows a man who was uploaded into his Slack chat. Slack, if you don't know, is basically one of those programs where people can send messages to each other, and a lot of workplaces use it. And so he is uploaded into Slack, and his coworkers think that it's like a prank for a long time, until one of them like goes to his apartment and realizes that he's like, his consciousness is in Slack. And the Slack bot does weird things. So this book is told entirely in Slack messages. Again, this is part of that mixed media thing that I just absolutely love, because reading a whole book through Slack messages is like, you get through it really fast because they're just little messages, and things get just kind of like more unhinged as they go. I guess as I'm thinking about it, this does have a pretty weird factor like Severance does. It's just not as dark. It's a little bit more lighthearted. So I really love this book. I read it in one sitting. I'm laughing because I actually read it while I was doing my colonoscopy prep. So it was a rough time for me, but Several People Are Typing got me through it. If you ever had a colonoscopy, you know what I mean. It's not fun. Anyway, so those are all of my recommendations. Let me know if you have any recommendations for any of these books, or if there are any books that you're like, hey, I really liked this book. Do you have any recommendations for it? And I'll do my best, and maybe we can do a follow-up. Again, if you want the movie TV show thing, let me know. because I'm also a pretty big like movie and TV show junkie. I really enjoy those types of things. So let me know if you want that. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!